So, show of hands right now. How many guys have coached various youth sports or are currently coaching various youth sports? Wow. A lot of guys. It's awesome. So, have you ever came in contact with those guys that you meet for the first time, you get on the field for your kids or whatnot, and you're like, man, something's different about that guy. And I'm saying in a good way, like we had some other bad interaction, but that's kind of my story when I met Jack. And, when you meet Jack, it's like, man, something's different about this guy. And that's how he interacts. That's how he interacted with me. That's how he interacts with the kids that he's coaching. We're talking, 8, 9, 10-year-old boys, right? You can judge a man just based off of that. And something just stood out to me. And it's kind of important for us as men, right? Because we feel like, we need to be able to, evangelize is a very big part of our faith. Right? There's a lot of stuff in the Bible. We can talk we've had a lot of speakers talk about the apologetics verse, 1 Peter 3:15, which is like defending your faith. And it will say the reason why you believe. And testimony is very important. But it's also very important, you can point to places in like the Matthew, right? Being in the New Testament, where it's just Jesus' teaching. He talks about being the salt and light, Matthew 5. And Matthew 7, he talks about letting others know that you're my follower by your fruit. And so I point to somebody like Jack, where I didn't know him right off the bat, but I knew by the way he carried himself, conducted himself, what he stood for, the fruit in his life, right? It's such one of the most powerful ways, whether you're on the sports field with your kids, just out in the community, that something stood out about Jack. And then of course, I find out then he's a speaker, and there's all these cool connections. And then when we played in the game, my wife was like, Jack's wife was at my table 8 years ago when we started at Willow Creek. And I'm like, no way. There's just amazing connections that God has when you're open to Him. And so I say that to honor Jack because of the man that he is. But that's how I connected with him, just through youth sports from our kids being around the same age here in Barrington. So it's really cool, that opportunity that we have as men to be salt and light in this world and in this community right now. So I'm going to, I'm not going to read out this bio. We're going to play the really cool hype video, and then I'm going to have Jack come onto the stage.
Meet Jack Harnedy, a titan in the consumer packaged goods industry with over 23 years of experience and the newly appointed Vice President of Revenue Growth Management at Nutripult. Jack's career is a testament to excellence, having propelled growth and strategy for global giants like Hostess Brands and Colgate-Palmolive, and leading teams to victory with key players like Kroger and Walmart. An alumni of Northwestern University, Jack not only excelled academically, but also shone as a 4-year letter winner on 2 Big Ten championship teams. Jack's latest endeavor, his book Snap and Go, embodies his commitment to positivity, leadership, and team building. It's more than just a read. It's an invitation to transform your approach to growth and success. Discover more about Jack's journey and how he's shaping the future of health and wellness at jackharnedy.com. Join us in embracing the power of positive leadership and the pursuit of excellence. Jack Harnedy, where vision meets action and extraordinary is just the start.
Take a look at the long snap here. This is Jack Harnedy and his warm-ups. And what we want to see in a long snap, this is a year of epidemics. Epidemic problems with the long snap. You want the ball extended beyond your head gear, and you want those knees bent so that you can follow through, like that.
What's the one thing that you can do so well, you can do it in your sleep? Think about that. Let's hear it. What's that one thing?
Breathe.
Breathe. Sleep. Walk. What else?
Shut up.
Pray. Dream.
Ride a bike.
Ride a bike. Why do you think you can ride a bike like with your eyes closed? Or in your sleep? Like in your sleep. Practice, you've done it a million times over. There's one movement that I can do in my sleep. There's one movement that I can do with my eyes closed. In fact, I had to do it with my eyes parties. When I was trying out for the NFL. A lot of fun to be able to do a trick and do something that nobody else can do. What you do, it's not on the video. You dress the ball, you have Z's in your knees, you extend your arms, great to do with a suit coat on, by the way, and you snap it. Now, can I get one volunteer? Come on up. Great volunteer, I love it. What's your name? Noah. Do you think you can long snap? Let's see. Okay, you watched the video, right? You watched the video? Hang on. You watched the video. Z's in your knees, address the ball, and snap it. Okay, I'll be back here. There you go. Looking, there you go. Oh, look at that. Awesome. That in front of 150,000 people or 120,000 people in Michigan? How about a couple million watching on TV? What do you think? Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because what we'll talk about today, it's all about practice, it's all about being in the moment, visualizing, all those things. You can do it. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. You can execute it. You just did it there. Nice job. That's awesome. Okay. I'm going to go back to the summer of 1995. Does anybody remember the summer of 1995? It's a long time ago. Summer of 1995, I was a big man on campus. I grew up in the south side of Chicago. I went to Mount Carmel High School. It was my senior year. In summer of 1995. That was the summer and the time that I learned what maximizing the moment really meant. Going back to the summer of 95, anybody know these songs? TLC, Monica, Notorious B.I.G., Blues Traveler, but Bryan Adams was hot back then. Boys and Men. A lot of these shows, ER and Seinfeld, were top of the charts. Those were the most popular shows in the summer of 1995. Now, what you probably didn't realize or remember, that the summer of 1995 was the absolute hottest summer on record in Chicago. It's a tough summer. It was also the summer where I got to know this guy right here, Kevin Nelson. Think back to your high school age, your high school days, to your very best friend. That guy you can talk to, that guy that you can confide in, that guy that was absolutely everything to you. That was Kevin for me. All right, summer of 1995. We'd spend time in his basement. We'd be on the landline phone with the wire. Anybody know what that is? Right? We didn't have cell phones back then. We didn't have text back then. We actually talked to each other. We sat in his basement talking about life, talking about, the normal everyday things. And what we talked a lot about was winning a championship as a Mount Carmel High School senior year football team. But really what we talked a lot about was these few things right here. We talked about all the normal high school things, but when it came down to it, what did it mean to be a leader of our high school senior year football team? And this was Kevin's approach. Now, he had a hard time learning. He worked really hard at being smart in school and getting good grades, but he wasn't great at school, but he worked really hard. We said, God, Jack, I really think it comes down to a couple things. It comes down to, you gotta be positive as a leader. We talked a lot about having humility. We were offensive linemen. Like that video, and Aaron, that beautiful intro, it's hard as an former offensive lineman to hear those things because we are very, very much really embrace being humility and being humble. He talked a lot about God's spirit and grit and working really hard. And his biggest thing was
that I took away, and I can remember to this day, Jack, it's not about being champions. It's all about building champions. It's not about championships, it's all about building champions. And if you can build enough champions around you, you will win championships. Like, gosh, that's really smart. I love that. So fast forward. We're going through 3 days, summer of 1995. We are in the middle of August, hot, 100 degrees, again, 3 days, back in the day when we had that. It was manly not to drink water. It was manly to work through all the, the heat and sweat and the tears, injuries. And one day after practice, as we were breaking things down, we were going through practice, you could see Kevin was struggling a little bit. Like, Kevin, what's wrong? What's wrong? He's like, oh, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. We bring everybody up to huddle to break down the practice. Coach says his few things, talks about how the practice went. We take a knee, get up to go break it down. One person didn't get up. In fact, he fell to the ground. Kevin Dowling. Kevin suffered a massive bout of heat stroke on the field during practice. Thankfully, we had volunteer firemen, volunteer policemen as our coaches. They gathered him from Jackson Park, brought him over to Mount Carmel High School, got him into the swimming pool, cooled him down. Ambulance came, took him to the University of Chicago Hospital. He immediately had a kidney transplant and a liver transplant. Yep. It was an emergency surgery, and it went really well, very well. And we were going, so we'd go visit him in the hospital as he was recovering. He was looking at you in the eye and saying, I'm going to be on the field with you. I'm going to be out there with you. Like, Kevin, you just had 2 major organ replacements. Take it easy. You'll be there in spirit with us, no problem. The day of my senior year opening game, Saturday, August 26, 10,716 days ago, Kevin Dowling passed away. He was shaving with his dad. We were just there 30 minutes before. He was shaving with his dad. Typical thing you do. Shaving to get ready for his day. He suffered a massive bout of cardiac arrest. Now, I tell that story because 10,716 days have gone by, and not one day has gone by where I haven't lived my life like Kevin. Or how Kevin talked, how we talked about these few things right here. That has framed who I am, how I influence people, my family, the kids I coach, is all through Kevin's eyes. We wanted to be captains of the team together. Sure enough, we ended up having that happen. We were captains in a different way. He helped build champions. We nearly won a championship. We were runners-up. We lost the state championship game. But I'd say he was able to build champions in a different way. Look at what he's doing now. Look at what he's done over the last 30 years. He has a family has done a great job with a huge scholarship fund, a toy drive, all these different things he's influenced in a different way. So he was put on earth for 17 years to influence people, to live his legacy and live out his word. And that's what we're going to talk about today. This really was the start of the framework that I talk about, and I talk through SPIN. It's how we set our focus, how we prepare with diligence, how we implement with precision, and how we navigate all the obstacles that are going to come along the way. Right? And so setting our focus. This is a great Bible quote, right? So give your entire attention to what God is doing right now and don't get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. Really always talk about what's to come. What are you doing right now? You know, you have to see where you're going. You have to have a vision. You have to understand where you want to be, but you also have to understand how to get there. 75% of organizations and people struggle to build a vision. 90% of people struggle to set priorities in their professional life. And what happens when you don't have that vision, you don't know how to get there? Chaos ensues. So the way I like to look at it, and this is adapted through John Gordon, a great author and positive leadership coach, vision really is all about looking at it through a telescope and through a microscope. Right? So be able to create that future, you have to be able to see it. If you can see it, you can create it. Now take your one hand and put your other hand like a telescope. And look at that exit sign over there, right? Close your other eye, you got one eye open, right? You can see where you want to go, right? You want to get to that exit sign. Do you think if you stood up and walked over to that without taking your hands down and open up both of your eyes, you can get there without tripping over and hurting somebody? Can't, right? So yeah, you have your telescope view. You know where you want to go, but you got to put you really got to put the effort into understanding what is in your telescope, right? What do you see in your future? What does it really look like? What do you want to build and create? You really got to put some time into doing that, right? How does that make you feel when you do that? When you see yourself in that spot years down the road, how does that make you feel? Like, is it happening right now? So you got to do all that work. You have to put time and effort into building out where you want to go, but then you have to put that in your pocket real quickly, because then you have to figure out what you're going to do right now to make that happen, sequentially. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. What's in your microscope? What actions do you have to take right now to make sure that you can attain and achieve your long-term vision? I'm going to tell you a little story about where I was as I was graduating at Northwestern. My old telescope, right? I want to play NFL football. That was my telescope for a long time. Went to high school, played football. Went to college, played football. My life was all about getting to the NFL. And I had my shot. I was a great long snapper, one of the best. Period, end of story. That's what all the scouts told me. But I was also this other thing. I was an offensive lineman. I was 325 pounds. And when I was doing my snapping, line the ball up, you got 100 balls lined up, boom, 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 no problem. Come on, I ran a 5.2. I can get down there, I could make tackles. Yeah, we don't need a 325-pound long snapper. We don't need a 325-pound long snapper. We want somebody that's 230. Now, if you can lose the weight, you're in. I'm like, lose the weight, I'm 325 pounds. I've been 325 pounds for 5 years. High school, I was 275. I'm like, I'm always big. There's no way I can lose weight. I'll never lose weight. I had that telescope, and I said to myself, can't do it. The reality at the time, again, 325-pound long snapper making a tackle. I love the grainy videos, right? Back in 2000, there was no high definition anything. But my reality stayed my reality. I was 325 pounds 5 years after college, 10 years after college, 15 years after college. I never thought that I could actually lose the weight until doctor said, what are you doing? You are way overweight. Your cholesterol's through the roof. You're a ticking time bomb with your blood pressure. You better lose some weight. Otherwise, you're not going to see next year. That kind of screws with your mind a little bit, right? You're not going to see next year. Kevin, I love you, but I'm not ready to see you yet, is what I said, right? So I didn't realize at the time, back when I was in college, through 10, 15 years of being big, that I could actually do it because I had this telescope. I didn't have that microscope view. I didn't know how to break it down. So I learned, okay, I'm not gonna do this and say, I have to lose 100 pounds. I'm gonna lose 1 pound, and then another pound, and then another pound. And I'm gonna do it by starting with eating better, working out better. And here's how I'm gonna build a plan, and I'm gonna do it 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time. Happy to say that I've gotten healthy. I've been able to live my life with my family and do some fun things with my beautiful kids and beautiful wife. And I'm a big proponent of health really drives who you can be, right? And being healthy is so important that for us to live a great life. So my focus has changed, right? My telescope has changed over time. So that one moment of wanting to be in the NFL and that telescope of being in the NFL paralyzed me from really what I needed to do and taking that one step at a time. Could I have gotten there 20 years ago, 30 years ago when I was trying out for professional football? Maybe. Do I look back on it and have any regrets? Absolutely not. So, to summarize set my focus, it's like, start with the end in mind, see it, build it, feel it, but bring it back to the present. Bring it back to the present. Believe it. When you have a vision and you have the telescope in view and you have those steps that you want to take, communicate it. Tell people, this is what I'm trying to do, this is what I want to do, I need your help. It's interesting, but individuals move in the direction on which they focus, no question about it. So let's shift gears a little bit, and this is how you prepare, right? Heaven is a prepared place for the prepared people, no doubt about it. So you have to prepare for diligence, not only for heaven, but everything that you do. And I love this quote. This is from Malcolm Gladwell. It's all about persistence, doggedness, the willingness to do something harder and more than somebody else, somebody that would usually quit after doing 30 seconds of the actual work. So think about this. In a 5-year playing career at Northwestern, I spent 360,000 minutes of practice time. 5 years, do the math, it's a Northwestern thing, right? Got to do the math. But 360,000 minutes of actual practice time. For 33 minutes of actual playing time on the field. 99.999% of our time is spent preparing for that actual action. 33 minutes of true physical play. Yeah, you're out there in the field, clock's ticking by, but actual play, 33 minutes. Right? So we have got to prepare. Are we preparing that way for God when we meet Christ? If you fail to prepare, then you're preparing to fail. Great book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. Planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it right now. I think it's really important. We talked a little bit about that, but just having that sequential steps. What's the one thing, such by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Do the most important thing regularly, and as a result, everything else gets easier. And you start forming great habits over time. So important. We have all these priorities. We have all these things get thrown at us. How do we step back and say, what is the most important thing that I can do right now? Such by doing it, things will be easier as we move forward. We oftentimes forget it. I know I do. You play like you practice. You practice like you play. Effective preparation to me looks like quality, consistency, dedication, really working at it. Deliberate preparation looks like focused, challenging, asking for feedback. We oftentimes don't ask ourselves, and we don't ask our folks to give you feedback, and sometimes don't want to listen to it. Oh, and by the way, habit forming. You know, it takes 66 days, scientifically proven fact, 66 days to form a new habit. If you do it consistently, you will form a new habit. Fun fact, I mean, the days between Memorial Day and Labor Day is about 65, 66 days. It's a great time to try one thing different and do it every day. It's amazing what you'll find and how you'll be able to pick up a new habit, then pick up a new one, and then pick up a new one. Track it. It's important. Do it every day. Be consistent. So then you think, okay, as you look through the lens of a long snapper, it's time to implement, right? And you've got to be precise. It can't be over here. It can't be over there. It's got to be right here. Perfect, at his belt every time. And oh, by the way, you've got somebody you have to block. But you got to look straight ahead, block out all the noise, because there's a lot of it. Don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following. Keep your feet from following evil. It's a great quote. You know, the mind is a really powerful engine. In fact, if you just think of it, and if you put in vision and put it in your mind, and you think through, 30%, if you're working out, there's actual proven fact that if you actually visualize and believe you can get better and get stronger, you will, versus just working out. It's interesting. Mind is really a powerful engine. Mind can conceive and believe, and it can achieve. Think of this. Like, have you ever seen the view through the blinders of a horse? All the chaos that's going on. But then you have the blinders. Just like in anything you do. Again, lots of noise, lots of distractions, your phone, emails, whatever it is, life in general. Things get in the way. But how do you put the blinders on to what you're trying to accomplish? Clarity through chaos. Our coach, Coach Barnett, would take us on Thursday nights into our team room. Everybody go in, turn off the lights, and we'd spend 45 minutes visualizing what the day was going to look like on Saturday when we were playing. What do you see? What do you feel? Using all of your senses. And he'd bring you to this point. It was almost hypnotic. It was crazy. You'd get to this point where you were actually feeling like you're playing the game on Thursday night in a team room, in a dark room. But he'd have you visualize it. He'd have you think about it. You'd be in that moment. And oh, by the way, when you get there on Saturday and actually play, it's like, this is easy. Your ears, you don't hear anything, even though you've got hundreds of thousands of people yelling. You don't hear a thing. You don't care that the guy next to you, lining up across from you, is telling you all kinds of fun things and calling you every kind of name in the book. You don't care. You block everything out. I'm here to do one job. My job is to snap this ball, block this guy, run down and make a tackle. You were there. You're in the moment. So it's amazing what you can do when you visualize and spend time actually thinking about and putting yourself in that moment before it actually happens. It's time to actually make that play. You got to fully commit to what you're going to do. You got to have fun. So you've done all the practice. You've done all the, hey, I want to be here. Here's my vision. Here's how I'm going to get there. You got to have fun. I think all the times in life that we don't enjoy what we're doing. Like, why? Let's have fun doing it. You did all that work. Let's have fun doing it. Leave it all on that field. So you got to visualize that moment. You got to see it. You got to believe it. You got to have clarity. Today's headlines are tomorrow's fish wraps. You got to be humble. You can't get so high that you think that, hey, because I'm here, I can't get knocked down, right? Block out all that distraction. Be accountable to results. Execute it. Have ownership. And check and adjust as you go. You know you're going to get feedback. You know things are going to go right. And if they don't go right, who cares? Learn from what happened and then keep moving forward. Keep stepping forward. Adjust. But you know there's going to be a million obstacles along the way. You got to be strong, be courageous. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged, for the Lord God will be with you wherever you go. Do you operate with agility and the ability to change? Guarantee there's going to be an obstacle along the way. 70% of organizations fail. because with the change initiative, because they fail to pivot, they fail to adapt, they fail to adopt. And 75%, I think it's 100%, all projects that you work on, anything that you do has an obstacle. But like our famous Michael Jordan said, obstacles don't have to stop you. You have to run around a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, work around it. Okay, here's an obstacle that I recently had about 7-8 years ago. Riding high, like I told you, right? Can't always, yesterday's headlines are tomorrow's fish wraps. 7 years ago, my wife and I were on a private plane. We're flying to Neva St. Kitts for a national sales meeting and a great conference down in Neva St. Kitts. We were in a beautiful setting. It was tropical, it was gorgeous. I took that picture in the middle, right out our window, looking at the mountain, beautiful. I put an X in that because lo and behold, 5 minutes after taking this picture, I slipped. 45 years old, okay, I slipped. I slipped on a flagstone right there, right on that X. Now, if you're squeamish, look the other way, close your eyes for a second. Okay, there's my knee. Ruptured quad tendon. Ruptured quad tendon. On this high, you're on this absolute, there you go. Absolute high, right? Like, everything is great. You're leading the organization in sales. You're doing awesome. Everything's great. But the Lord works in weird ways. Hey, you're riding high? I'm going to bring it back down for a second. Remember, humility. I'm bringing you back. This was the most painful injury I could ever imagine. 13 weeks post-surgery of being in a straight leg brace, straight, not moving it, not bending it, could not bend it. It was a tendon reattachment to my kneecap. You saw all the people that had all their knee replacements, all the elderly folks that were running around in the rehab center every single day, and you're sitting there like, I can't even bend my leg. Brought me down, brought me back to a place to where I needed to learn something. That picture in the middle, that's me on my way to rehab. My son's in the back. I'm in the way back of our Yukon, the way back. So like the cargo space, because I couldn't fit anywhere because I couldn't bend my leg, right? The Lord has a mysterious way of working, right? Bring it back to ground, bring it back to earth. 7 years later, through the rehab, getting better. Orange Theory Fitness, if you ever heard of it, great workout. 2,100 classes later, and in the best shape of my life, right? So, again, I'm always cautious now, like, what's to come? What will bring me back? But I'm going to live it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm enjoying the fact that I'm able to be in the best shape of my life. But I got better because of what I went through with that injury. Built a wonderful relationship, strong relationship with my son because he was at home and I was at home for 13 weeks, wasn't going to the office. So look at the positives on a really, really challenging situation. We all think that the world is going to go that way and that the road is straight. Is that reality? That's not reality. This is what reality looks like, right? This is what it looks like. It's all over the place. There are going to be obstacles. There are things along the way that you're going to have to overcome. Learn from it. Everything you possibly can and get better. Embrace the suck. Embrace the suck. Because you will get better. So, navigating obstacles is all about, we talk about it, but it's accountability. You got to persevere over the challenges that you come across. You got to be focused on having that ownership, right? Accountability is all about owning it, delivering the results that you're asked to deliver, whether it be at work, whether it be at home, whether it be with your friends. Head on, attack it. When you have a challenge, somebody else to do it. No. Own it. Attack it. Celebrate it. And then move. Be agile as best as you can. And then review. Review is so important. Play that back. How did I do in that moment? Did I do what I came to do? Yes or no? And if I didn't, how am I going to fix it the next time? Play that back. Positive leadership. Can't say enough about that. Bring a positive tone to everything you do, to all the people that you influence. The greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. I think that's a really important quote that we often forget. Embrace the challenges. And I'd say, we talk about all these challenges and we talk about all the obstacles. Isn't it great when you actually bounce back and I've seen those pictures, like, gosh, I feel good that I was able to overcome a situation like that. So we talked a lot about spin, right? How we spin our way to greatness, how we maximize our moments. Like 10,716 days later, Kevin would look at it and say, yep, you're living it. Set my focus, prepare with diligence, implement with precision, navigate through the obstacles. You're navigating through the obstacles in a great way. You're implementing what you do. You're preparing, you're setting your focus. This has been great. I appreciate the opportunity to spend the time with you this morning. Love to hear from you. Please connect with me, LinkedIn, etc. One thing, I do have my book, Snap and Go, available for purchase for $10. 100% of the $10 will go to the Kevin Dowling Scholarship Fund. So if you purchase it through Venmo or a couple different apps, that would be great. It'll be donated 100% to Kevin Dowling Scholarship Fund. I'll have those in the back at the end of the chat. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jack. And just to also piggyback on this for his book, I think one of the best ways that you can bless the speakers, Don came week 1, he sold his book. We have Jack's book here. $10, one, it's a huge blessing to him to say thank you for coming out this morning. And two, this is all of it. He's not making $1 off of this, not making a dime off of this, all going to Kevin Dowling Scholarship Fund. And in fact, we had one of the men here in our group who said they're going to match whatever is given there. So as many of you as buy that book, it'll be matched and doubled for the scholarship fund. So please, on the way out, I know Jack would love to talk to you, we'd love to meet you. Please grab a book on your way out. It's a great way to bless them. A couple things that stood out to me too from Jack's presentation. What'd you say, Jack? It was 66 days, right?
66
to form
days.
a habit. You guys know how many weeks we meet for men's fraternity? 10 weeks. How many days is that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right there, right? This is a habit that you guys are making. That I wake up early on Thursday mornings to show up here and come and do it, right? And it talks about too, what is our end goal as men of Christ? Our end goal is eternity in heaven. That's what we were created for, right? Bring it back. How does that start? Through the practice. Actually, the 3 simple practices that I talked about last week. Are you on your knees praying every day? Are you in the Bible every day? Are you involved in a local church? Those are the 3 things that you do now for that end picture, right? So as men, I want you to focus on that message as well. So thank you, Jack. Thank you for reminding us. It was awesome to hear from you today. Join us next week. We continue the football theme. We got a college football coach that's won over 250 wins at the college level. He retired in 2019. Some of you guys might remember him. He was here 5 years ago, but given we've grown so much, we got about 25 men then. We got a lot more guys to hear that story. We're going to close with prayer requests as we